Hello and welcome to the SAG-AFTRA Foundation's Conversations at Home program. My name is Savannah M. with EBONY Media. Now, without further ado, it is my pleasure to introduce actress Rose Rollins of Long, Slow, Exhale. Hello, Rose, how are you?
Hi, how are you?
Doing so well. I'm so thrilled to be sharing this space with you. So to kick it off, let's talk about your career as a phenomenal actress. When did you know that you really wanted to be an actress, and what were some of your earliest roles?
I knew pretty much in high school, like it kind of came out of nowhere. I had ended up just for extra credit joining a few other classmates and putting on productions for group homes and women's shelters, just to talk about whatever issues were affecting everyone at the time. So we had tackled safe sex and teen pregnancy and HIV, and we wrote and produced everything, and it was kind of like a traveling show, and just the response and the experience, and it was just great and overwhelming, and then also how we affected the audience was actually very moving. So yeah, I realized, wow, I really love this.
Yes, absolutely. Do you have any memorable auditioning stories when you started really
Aren't
getting
they?
into the field?
Oh, well, aren't all auditions memorable? Really? I mean,
That's a good
I'm
way to look at it.
yeah, I'm an actor who, and I'm sure so many can relate. I'm not a fan of auditioning. That's the hardest part of this, actually. So there have been a lot. There have been a lot, and they never stop coming. It can be a good thing and a bad thing, but I think what's very important is that you have to learn how to audition. And there is a difference there. Like there can be so many talented people, but it can't, but the people in power who are hiring, they can't see it really necessarily in such a small amount of time that you're given, unless you really know how to bring that to your audition. And that's really important. Because I do know so many talented actors who admit I'm a terrible auditioner, and they don't work as much as people who do know how to audition. And then in the same token, there are actors who aren't as talented, but because they're such great auditioners, they work a lot. So yeah, I think it's very important to know how to audition.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's such an important and integral part. It's like if you're taking a test or if you're public speaking, it's all about how you perform in those types of situations.
Yeah.
And I mean, you've done so many great roles. I mean, we've got to know you from The L Word or The West Wing, and now it's Long, Slow, Exhale. How have you been able to consistently hone your craft and sharpen your skills after the audition and when you're in those roles?
I make sure that, like, first off, I bring as much of myself as I possibly can to every role. I feel like sometimes, well, just with my process, the process that works for me, and every actor is different. I find that in order for me to be present, I have to bring myself. And if I'm off in my head conjuring up this story that I feel that would have helped me get to a place, then you'll be able to tell and I'm not present. It's like, in life when you're talking to someone and you can see that they're not really there and they're not present and their mind is somewhere else. That's what happens when I have too much preparation or I have too much story
Mm,
that I've conjured up. So my main focus is to just be present. And I also, first off, to make everything easier, I always make sure I'm right for the character.
mm.
And I think that's important. I know that a lot of actors feel like, yes, I'm very versatile. I'd like to do anything, but I do think that a lot of times it's very important to be right for the character. And when you're not, you can tell,
Yeah.
and uh, yeah, that's first and foremost. And once that happens, I feel like uh, I no longer separate JC. In this particular instance, JC, the character in Long Slow Exhale, there's no longer JC, the character. I am JC. So everything
Mm,
that's happening to JC is happening to me. And how does that make me feel? How am I, Rose, as JC, affected by this person whose eyes I'm looking into? And I just try to be as honest and as real and present as I possibly can, and try not to over prepare so that I am lost in my head. And hopefully, some magic happens. I don't know if that's what you want to call it, magic, but yeah, hopefully get to where I want to get to. Yeah.
Absolutely. And I love how you mentioned making sure that you're right for the role, which is super important, and having that consciousness to make sure that, one, you're in the space to properly execute it, but also making sure that you can deliver what you need to deliver while still being honest to who you are as a person. Is that something that you had to learn over time, or has your method really always been to make sure that you're really aligned with the characters that you take on?
No, I mean, I think everything that you learn is basically through experience. I mean, in this business, it's pretty tough, and it can be very brutal. So you learn the hard way a lot of times. But yeah, it's definitely something that I learned along the way. And I think that there's this one person, or actually a few people in power, who've told me that, especially in these days of self-tape, for instance, they, within the first 10 seconds, when they're going through the tapes, they move on. Like, they don't have the time to sit there and wait for something interesting to happen. So you've got to have the same essence. You've got to have the strong choices in the very, very, very beginning, or else they're just going to move on. I mean, that's how fast this all moves, and how brutal it can be. It's like, I know we all will tend to think that we're special. We have something different to offer and to give. But a lot of times, honestly, they just don't have the time to wait for it. So you've got to, that essence has to already be there, and you've got to make some really strong, interesting choices within the first 10 seconds, or it's bye-bye. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
No, I think you're 100% right with that. Are there now, if you were to reflect on all the roles you've been able to take on, are there some that you'd love to do again? Or is there a dream role that you're just dying to sink your teeth into and take on in the future?
I actually think that JC is my dream role. And to be honest, in the beginning, she was so dynamic that I thought, oh my God, first off, I don't even know if I'd be able to handle a role like this yet. And secondly, I don't even know if I'd be able to get a role like this at this point in my career, but there was just something that I immediately connected with, and I just gave it my all in every way. And I think JC and I are very similar in a lot of ways, and we just instantly connected. And yeah, this has definitely been my dream role. She's so, have you seen the whole series, or just oh yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Like,
yeah.
She is a lot of woman, isn't she?
She is. She is. And absolutely a great segue into talking more about Long Slow Exhale, where, I mean, Coach JC Abernathy, like you said, is a whole lot of women. She is fierce, and tackling the world of women's college basketball with some, I would say, some serious twists and turns for sure.
Yeah.
Outside of, being so totally immersed into the role, how did you come to work on this project? How was this opportunity presented to you?
Well, like most situations or opportunities, it just came across my desk, per se. This is an opportunity, an audition, and I read the script, and I was immediately, first I was intimidated as hell. And I was like, oh, I'm never going to get this. But then after speaking with my reps and really realizing that we've got to actually go for this. And we did. And I spoke with Anton Cropper and Pam Visay, and it was such a lovely meeting. And I really did feel like I was right for the character. Like it was going to be challenging, but I was right for the character. And I just put myself on tape, and that was that, really.
Wow.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah.
And I mean, again, this show really tackles some heavy subject matter and with such intensity. Are there ways that you're able to find that you're really able to get into the mindset to attack it head on with this role? Or what are some ways that you're able to still separate? I know you mentioned, after a while you are Coach Abernathy, that is you both are the same, but what are some ways that you're able to really get into that mindset?
Not overthinking it. That's very important. Remaining open. For me personally, I can't overthink. I can't overplan. I can't have these expectations about where I feel JC needs to be in a certain moment, or in a certain scene, or with a certain other character who's playing a role across from me. I just have to be there and in every scene and be present and allow everything that is happening to affect me. Because as you see, I speak in terms of me, like not JC, but me. It's all happening to me. And I feel that I'm a woman at this point with so many experiences, like just me being a woman and JC being a woman. At a certain age, you've kind of been through everything, right? So yeah, I can always relate. I can always identify and just try to speak my truth through JC's story.
Yeah, absolutely. I love that you mentioned speaking your truth through the story. Were there times where you really felt like you had to just decompress after a tedious day of shooting and just separate, the shoot and the content from the real life, and just being able to be like, okay, I did that.
Yeah.
Now let me take a break.
Definitely. There were times, and I had spoken about this briefly in another interview recently, but there were times where I would come home, like I had just finished a 80-hour week, and I would come home on a Friday night, go to sleep because I'm exhausted, and I would dream JC's dreams, not Rose's dreams, but JC's dreams. Like I was so consumed, and I would literally have to work at just letting it go. And it was tough, but my son, who's 4 and just so lovely, like he made it so much easier to kind of snap out of it, because he was always excited to see me. And, and this was the first time that I had been away from him. It was the first time I had been away from him in such large increments that he no longer took me for granted. So when I would come home, he was just so elated to see me and spend time with me. And so he was actually the key to just me remembering, like, oh yeah, my son and my husband, and just like, it was nice to have that support system to kind of snap me out of it.
Yes, absolutely.
Because it was heavy. It could get heavy at times. And I was just lucky to have them.
I love that. That's so precious. And we definitely will talk about you and your family and balancing your career and family. I'm curious to know about the support that you've had on set. You've had such a dynamic cast with Long, Slow, Exhale. How are you able to lean on one another to execute these performances with the show?
Well, we were lucky enough that everyone is so talented. So that in itself just helps your job, that helps you execute everything you actually need to when you arrive at work and you're ready to, let's get this done. So that was very helpful. And then just making sure that I personally would set the precedence for a healthy set and, healthy energy, and everyone was supportive of one another. And that just, we're all working such long hours. It's really important to have a positive, productive environment.
Yeah, absolutely. Were there any, in the midst of all the heaviness, were there maybe any bloopers, any times to kind of just unwind and bond with the cast that you remember?
Well, yeah, my the students, JC's JC's players, they were all like, they were so much fun and really funny, like the practical jokes, the constant, like, I mean, it made me feel young again, because it's just, wow, it's a different kind of energy. And I hadn't worked with that in a long time, because usually, you know, I'm with my peers and we're all of a certain age, but, you know, it was great to have that young, eager, just raw kind of energy and humor. And then they kept us laughing and they kept the sets alive, and they would, you know, teach me about, you know, what's the latest that's going on in social media, because I'm actually not on social media. Sorry, grandma over here. But yeah, they definitely brought a energy to the set that would really help the cast and crew on these long days that we endured.
Wow, I love that. I love that energy. And I love that you felt like you were being re-energized by the spirit of the cast. So that's awesome.
Yeah,
that's really
definitely.
great. Can you describe maybe what a typical day on set looked like for you? I'm sure there were no typical days, especially with content of this caliber, but can you describe maybe what a day looked like, or one memorable day?
Well, there was a day that was actually pretty funny. The director and the first AD, the assistant director, we kind of had a running joke because since I was in every scene, it kind of turned into like the traveling show, or like, you know, like, I don't know, it was like the showcase where I would, you know, I'd come into this one room, this one set, and then, you know, say Josh Lucas would come in, we'd have a scene, and, you know, and then he'd go and say, hi, bye, have a nice weekend. And then next it's like, you know, Lyric Bent would come in, and then we're in a different set and we're at home, and then, you know, we have our scene, and then they're like, okay, and that's a wrap. And then we say bye to Lyric. And then next we have a scene where I'm at the stadium with my players. And it was just like, it was literally like, I was there in a different set, like every 2 hours, but everyone was just, it was an endless procession of like every actor from the show. And it was just, it was pretty fun. It was pretty intense for me. Like, just, you know, everyone, you know, they got to like come in, do their thing, and have a great rest of their week. But I was just like, right, next, okay, got that, lock, next. Like, it's pretty intense. Like, you know, being, you know, basically the number one of a show. It's a lot, but it's also, you know, you got to find the humor in it, and also just, you know, be ready for it. And I think, yeah, it was a pretty funny experience. Yeah, and they made fun of me for it a lot.
Yeah. Oh goodness! But how long was the actual shooting process? How long did it take for you all to shoot the show?
We started in, I think, late March and finished in late August. So yeah, about 5 months. But then, you know, even with those 5 months, the days were, you know, 14 hours to, you know, between like 12 to 16 hours a day. So yeah, so it's a lot of time.
Yeah, absolutely. Do you feel like outside of the world of Long Slow Exhale, you'd be cool with Coach Abernathy, or maybe you might keep your distance, or you guys have a lot you might have in common?
Oh, a lot. We would have a lot in common. I would definitely want to be friends with Coach Abernathy for sure. Wouldn't you?
I mean, yeah, she's a ride or die. Absolutely.
Yeah. But you know what I realized also is I realized, but maybe halfway through, I said, JC doesn't have any friends. Think about it. She's so busy. Yeah. She's got so much on her shoulders, but she doesn't have like a girlfriend that she, you know, could sit back and have a glass of wine with. She has her husband. She has, you know, her team. She has, you know, working relationships, but she needs to loosen up a little bit in her downtime. I mean, maybe she doesn't have much downtime, and that's why. But yeah, I think if season 2 happens, you know, when season 2 happens,
yes,
yeah, I think she needs a girlfriend or two.
Yeah, absolutely. Definitely just to have those moments to unwind and vent for sure.
Yeah, but she never unwinds though.
Yeah,
Like every time she takes a breath, something else is thrown at her,
happens.
you know?
Yeah,
Yeah, she's got a full plate.
she does. She
Yeah.
does. And speaking of full plate, one of your, I'm sure, most rewarding roles is being a mom in real life.
Mhm.
How do you balance your career and being an actress and the roles that you take while also showing up for your family and making sure that there's a sense of balance?
Yeah, I think I think that it definitely can be difficult, but I always choose family first, and
Mm.
maybe that has been detrimental to my career slightly, but I just feel like whatever it takes for me to feel fulfilled and happy, and I just always put my family first. And I'm actually 6.5 months pregnant right now, so.
Oh,
Yeah, so you can't
congratulations.
tell, but yeah, if I stood up, you can tell, but I'll just,
Oh
yeah,
my
so we're
goodness.
having number two and the final one. Yeah, we're having a baby girl this summer.
Oh,
So excited.
congratulations.
Yeah, thank you. And
Oh my
I,
goodness.
I just feel that, where I want to ultimately be in my career may take a little longer
Mm.
than normal because of my personal choices, but I'm okay with that because
Yeah,
my family is everything and they fulfill me in such a way that that's just nothing else could replace that.
I love that. Oh my goodness, congratulations. Are you in like super planning mode? Or are you just taking it day by day?
Yeah, just taking it day by day and like yeah, because and it's so true. And I heard about this in the beginning, but with the baby number one, you got to get it right. You got to do everything right. You got to plan right. And then with baby number two, you kind of feel like, okay, I got this. Like, let's just relax, make sure we stay healthy, and
Yeah.
and the time will come. What will be will be. And yeah, I'm just much more chill now. And I'm also glad to have this downtime to just relax and just take it easy. And yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, but I'm really excited, really excited.
Oh, I love that. Is your son really picking up on what's going on and
Oh,
kind of
he
just
know,
trying
yeah, he talks
to
to her.
Oh,
She's a part of the kisses routine, like, the kisses good night, the kisses good morning. He also will kiss my belly and talk to her. And he asks me all the time, when's the doctor gonna take her out of your body? I'm ready to play. And I'm like, I don't know if it
oh,
works like that, but yeah, he won't understand that he probably won't actually be able to play with her for at least the
for a
first year.
while.
So I think he might be a little disappointed and think she's
Oh,
slightly boring, but yeah, he'll get with the program, but he's really excited to be a big brother.
oh, that's so precious. I love that. Does he also pick up on the fact that his mom is a really cool actress? Like, has he conceptualized the work that you do, or is he not really there yet?
No, he's there. I caught him, and this is the funniest story. I actually shared it with Pam because I, I'm so tickled by it. So he's really good at, he's very tech savvy, unlike his
Mhm.
mom. But I walked into a room where there's a television, and he had the remote in hand, and he was searching. And in the search bar, it said Mom, MOM. And I asked him, what is he doing? And he's like, I'm trying to find your movie. Where is it? And it's because he thought that he could find it by just putting mom
Oh,
instead of the name of the show. But to him, it's his mom's show.
mom.
So yeah,
Yeah.
so it was the cutest thing. I think to this day it is the cutest thing I've ever seen him do. So
Oh
yeah,
my
but
goodness.
he's a fan. He watches every episode, and I just distract him and fast forward a little bit in the areas I know that are coming that he probably shouldn't see. But I'm surprised that at his age, he's 4, and
Hmm.
there's no animation or anything, but he's really into the story, and every day, like, he wants to watch the next episode. Like, even on Monday, when the next 3 episodes were coming out, he said, oh, today 4, 5, and 6. Like, and he wanted, yeah, he's really into it. I find it really sweet, actually.
Yes, that is. Maybe we have another up and coming actor on our hands.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, that's so precious. That's so precious.
Yeah.
That's so sweet. And with all of the work that you've been able to do, and again, really diving into this role, again, I'm sure there's so many who can just be so inspired by the work that you're doing. What are some tidbits of wisdom that you can maybe impart on actors in all phases of their careers that maybe you've received yourself?
First off, like, just don't underestimate how much work you have to put into this. And also at the same time, don't give up, because it may not happen. Well, actually, it probably won't happen on your timetable. But if the talent is there, if the work ethic is there, then it will happen eventually. And I know it's a little tougher now with with basically, I don't know, can I say it? I might get in trouble for this, but the demolition of the middle class actor, it seems to be a lot harder nowadays. But I think there's room, there's so much content out there, and just also, be realistic with where you stand in the business as well, and also be realistic about where it is you see yourself being, because I feel like a lot of times, people just want to be a star overnight, and it just doesn't really work that way. You got to put in the work. Yeah, I feel like, did I even nail any of it? Is that good advice, or yeah, was that? Yeah, I feel like there's some more. Yeah, just don't give up. Don't give up. Yeah.
Absolutely. And speaking of not giving up, have there been times where you just felt like, oh man, like this is, like you mentioned, it's taking maybe longer than I expected, or, maybe it's not it for me, but maybe you had some moments where you had to be like, all right, let me push myself through, and this is something I know I'm able to do. Have you had any of those moments in your career?
Well, I always felt that it was something that I was able to do, but luckily I knew early on that I couldn't put a timetable on it. And me personally, I may have, undersold my expectations in a way. So I didn't expect much, but I did put in the work. So when I would get projects, I'm like, oh my goodness, really? Okay. So that's always a pleasant surprise as well. But you just can't have any expectations in this business. You just gotta do the work. And, that means before you go on an audition, make sure you read the script, make sure you make strong choices. Don't try to skip, or take the easy route, because it's, like everything you put in, it shows, I think.
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. That's definitely a gem that you got. You have to show up and you have to do the work. Absolutely.
You have to be ready. You have to be ready. Yeah.
Yeah, that's so important. And often it can't be overstated enough that you have to be ready to do that work for sure. Absolutely. Outside of expecting, what is next for you? Where can we see you next? Fingers crossed for season 2, or I know I'm definitely waiting to see in season 2.
Yeah.
So good.
Yeah, I like I said, I don't really look too far into the future. So right now, all of my energy is like just with my family, and hopefully there is a season 2, because I think that JC, along with these female coaches in the business, they're so inspiring and dynamic, and I think there's just so many more stories to tell.
Yeah.
And I think I would love to continue to tell those stories. So, not saying all my eggs are in the basket of getting JC to continue to tell her story, but in the meantime, I just feel like I'm just waiting for my number 2, and just enjoying life. Yeah.
Love that. I
Yeah.
love that. Absolutely. Well, on behalf of the SAG-AFTRA Foundation, I'd like to thank you so much for sharing your experiences, your process, your craft with your fellow performers. And congratulations once again.
Thank
Congratulations.
you. Thank you. Thank you so
Yes.
much, Savannah.